Have you ever noticed how some people in their 60s, 70s, or even 80s move with ease while others seem weighed down by stiff joints, nagging aches, and a loss of vitality? Many people believe that this is simply the price of aging. But the truth is, much of what we call aging is not inevitable. It's the result of how our body responds to what we put into it every single day. Here's something surprising. Not every vegetable is beneficial when you reach your 60s and beyond. Yes, vegetables are often seen as universally healthy, but the body changes with age. Digestion shifts, gut bacteria evolve, and our joints respond differently to certain compounds in food. This means that while some vegetables truly support healing and mobility, others can quietly aggravate inflammation, slow recovery, and even place stress on aging joints. That might sound counterintuitive because for decades we've been told, eat your vegetables and you'll be fine. But science shows it's more nuanced than that. For example, compounds like oxalates, lectins, or solanine found in certain plant foods can bind to minerals, irritate the gut lining, or contribute to crystal buildup in joints. And as we age, our ability to buffer against these irritants decreases. The result? More stiffness, more pain, and a slower pace of healing. But here's the good news. Your body is designed to heal itself. Once you know which vegetables to avoid or at least minimize and what to replace them with, you can dramatically reduce joint discomfort, improve mobility, and feel stronger day after day. In today's talk, we'll uncover three common vegetables that may not be serving you well after 60, and I'll share exactly what to eat instead. Foods that nourish your cartilage, calm inflammation, and keep your joints resilient. Along the way, I'll explain how your body naturally protects itself and how a few simple shifts in your diet can give your body the support it's craving. If you care about moving freely, aging gracefully, and supporting your body's natural intelligence, stay with me until the end and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the practical science your body is waiting to hear. When you reach your 60s and beyond, your body is still incredibly intelligent. It has the same built-in healing systems you were born with, but it's also true that certain parts of the body no longer work at the same speed or with the same resilience as they did in your 20s or 30s. Understanding these changes is not about fear, it's about giving your body exactly what it needs at this stage of life. One of the most important shifts happens in digestion. As we age, the stomach begins to produce less stomach acid. Stomach acid is essential for breaking down food and making minerals like calcium, magnesium, and zinc available to your body. These minerals are the raw materials your joints, bones, and muscles depend on. When stomach acid is low, food is not digested as thoroughly, and your body has to work harder to extract nutrition. That means that even if you're eating a healthy diet, you may not be absorbing the same benefit you once did. At the same time, the gut lining naturally thins with age. Think of the gut lining as a selective barrier, a screen door that allows nutrients to pass into your bloodstream while keeping irritants out. When this lining becomes thinner, certain plant compounds that were harmless in younger years can slip through and trigger inflammation. This is especially important when it comes to joint health, because systemic inflammation almost always shows up in the joints first. Stiff fingers, sore knees, or hips that take longer to loosen in the morning. Another key change is in the microbiome, the vast community of bacteria that live in your digestive system. In youth, the microbiome tends to be diverse and robust, but with age, and especially with a history of antibiotics, processed foods, or stress, the microbiome can lose diversity. A less diverse microbiome is less efficient at producing protective compounds, such as short-chain fatty acids, which keep inflammation low and strengthen the gut lining. When diversity decreases, the gut becomes more vulnerable to compounds like lectins and oxalates that exist naturally in certain vegetables. Now, what does all of this mean in practical terms? It means that not all vegetables, though healthy in general, are equally supportive after 60. Some vegetables contain compounds that require strong stomach acid, a resilient gut lining, and a balanced microbiome to handle properly. If these systems are weakened, the same foods can shift from being supportive to being irritating. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine your digestion in your younger years as a powerful watermill on a rushing river. The blades spin quickly, grinding everything smoothly. As you age, the river slows down and the blades turn more gently. If you put soft grains into the mill, it still works beautifully. But if you throw in rocks or hard husks, the slowed down mill struggles and becomes damaged. That is what happens when an older digestive system is faced with certain irritating compounds in vegetables. This is not a reason to avoid vegetables altogether. Quite the opposite. It's an invitation to choose wisely, to support your body's natural intelligence rather than overload it. By recognizing how your digestion and absorption shift with age, you can protect your joints, strengthen your bones, and keep inflammation at bay without medications, simply by aligning with the way your body is designed to work. And here's the empowering truth. These changes are not signs of weakness. They are simply the body's way of asking for different support. Just as a young athlete eats differently from a 70-year-old marathoner, your body is asking for foods that meet it where it is today. By listening, you give yourself the gift of mobility, clarity, and resilience well into your later years. Most of us grew up with the message, the more vegetables, the better, and in many ways that's true. Vegetables are rich in fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants that the body needs to heal and thrive. But here's the nuance most people are never told. Not every vegetable is equally beneficial, especially after the age of 60. Some vegetables contain natural compounds that plants produce to protect themselves from pests in nature. These compounds aren't toxic in the traditional sense, but in sensitive digestive systems, especially those that have shifted with age, they can act as irritants. For younger people with strong stomach acid and a resilient gut lining, these compounds often pass unnoticed. But for older adults, they can quietly fan the flames of inflammation. Let's take nightshade vegetables as an example. The nightshade family includes tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, and white potatoes. These are staple foods in many kitchens, yet they contain a compound called solanine. Solanine is part of the plant's natural defense system. It discourages insects and fungi from attacking the plant. In the human body, however, solanine can be irritating. It may increase gut permeability, the tendency of the gut wall to let small particles slip into the bloodstream, and this in turn can provoke the immune system. The result is often joint stiffness, swelling, or a sense of achiness that many seniors chalk up to just aging. Interestingly, people with arthritis or autoimmune conditions often report that their symptoms flare after eating nightshades. Modern research supports this observation. Animal studies show that solanine can contribute to joint inflammation and nerve irritation. While not everyone reacts the same way, seniors are more likely to notice these effects because their digestive defenses are weaker. Another category of irritants comes from cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, and cabbage. But here's where nuance is important. Cruciferous vegetables are deeply healing for most people, but if they are eaten raw in large amounts, they contain compounds called goitrogens. These can interfere with thyroid function, which already tends to slow with age. For someone with a sluggish thyroid, excessive raw cruciferous vegetables may worsen fatigue, weight gain, or cold sensitivity. The good news? Lightly steaming or cooking these vegetables neutralizes much of the goitrogen content, making them powerful allies again. This is an excellent example of how preparation makes the difference. And then there are vegetables high in natural alkaloids. Peppers, chili, and eggplant contain these compounds, which in sensitive individuals can trigger an immune response. For someone in their 60s or 70s, that immune response may show up not as a stomachache, but as swelling in the hands, stiffness in the knees, or even a flare of gout-like pain. Here's the takeaway. Vegetables are not good or bad in isolation. What matters is how your body responds to them in this stage of life. The very same tomato that nourished you in your 30s may be quietly irritating your joints in your 70s. The key is not to demonize vegetables, but to develop awareness. One practical way to test this is through what I call a food pause. Remove nightshades from your diet for 2 weeks and simply notice how your body feels. Are your mornings less stiff? Do your hands feel looser? Does your energy return more quickly after activity? For many seniors, the difference is noticeable within days. Your body is always communicating with you. If you experience more ease when you reduce certain vegetables, that is your body's wisdom showing you the way. And once you know which foods are irritating, you can replace them with nourishing options that support your joints instead of stressing them. When most people think about nutrient-rich vegetables, they immediately picture dark leafy greens like spinach, beet greens, or Swiss chard. These foods are celebrated in magazines and health blogs as superfoods, and indeed they contain important vitamins, fiber, and antioxidants. But here's the part of the story that is rarely told. Many of these greens are also very high in a compound called oxalate. Oxalates are naturally occurring molecules found in certain plants. They serve the plant as a defense, making the leaves less appealing to insects. But in the human body, oxalates can bind to minerals like calcium, magnesium, and iron. When this happens, those minerals form crystals that the body cannot use. Instead of absorbing calcium to strengthen your bones, for example, oxalates can tie it up and carry it out of the body, or worse, deposit it in places where you don't want it, such as the kidneys or the joints. For a younger person with strong kidney function and robust digestion, oxalates are often not a big issue. But after the age of 60, two things change. First, kidney efficiency naturally declines, and second, mineral absorption becomes less efficient. The combination of these two factors means that oxalates can build up more easily, and the consequences often show up as kidney stones, brittle bones, or joints that feel sore and stiff without clear explanation. Here's an example you may relate to. Many seniors are told to eat spinach for its iron content, yet the form of iron in spinach is bound by oxalates and is far less available to the body compared to iron from beans or animal foods. This means that relying heavily on spinach for iron may not provide the intended benefit, and in fact, it may interfere with the absorption of other important minerals. But here's the hopeful side: you don't have to eliminate greens altogether. It's about knowing which greens to eat in moderation and which to prioritize. For example, kale, bok choy, and arugula are much lower in oxalates compared to spinach or beet greens. By making these swaps, you still get the fiber, the antioxidants, and the vitamins without overloading your body with oxalates. Cooking also makes a difference. Boiling spinach or Swiss chard in water and then draining it can reduce oxalate content significantly. This is why in traditional cuisines, greens are often blanched, sautéed, or combined with other foods rather than eaten raw in large salads. Our ancestors intuitively found ways to make these foods more digestible. It's also worth noting that vitamin C, while essential, can convert into oxalates in the body when taken in very high doses. This doesn't mean you should avoid vitamin C, far from it, but it does mean that balance matters and megadosing is not always better, especially as we age. So, what should you do if you're concerned about oxalates? One simple protocol is this: limit high oxalate vegetables like spinach, beet greens, and Swiss chard to small, occasional servings rather than daily staples. Replace them with lower oxalate greens like kale, romaine, or arugula. And when you do eat oxalate rich foods, pair them with calcium containing foods like a little yogurt or sesame seeds, which can help bind the oxalates in the gut before they enter the bloodstream. Your body is designed to protect itself from overload, but after 60, it needs a bit more support in doing so. By choosing the right greens, you're not depriving yourself, you're making sure that every bite of food works for your healing, not against it. By now, you've seen that some vegetables contain natural defense chemicals that can irritate the body if not handled properly. Another important group to understand are lectins. Lectins are proteins found in many plant foods: beans, peas, lentils, peanuts, and even certain vegetables like zucchini and tomatoes. Plants produce lectins to protect themselves from insects and animals, but in the human digestive system, they can sometimes create problems, especially as we get older. Here's why. The gut lining is like the body's security gate. It decides what gets into the bloodstream and what stays out. When you're young, this lining is thick and resilient, almost like a strong filter. But with age, the gut lining naturally becomes thinner and more permeable. At the same time, the microbiome, the collection of bacteria that live in your intestines, may lose some of its diversity. Together, these changes mean that lectins have an easier time slipping through the gut barrier. When lectins cross into the bloodstream, the immune system sees them as foreign invaders. This sparks inflammation. For some people, that inflammation shows up in the gut as bloating or indigestion. But for many seniors, the inflammation travels to the joints, where it causes stiffness, swelling, and pain. Over time, this low-grade irritation can make moving, walking, or even standing for long periods much harder than it needs to be. You might have noticed this yourself. Perhaps after eating a bean-heavy soup or a tomato-based dish, your fingers feel stiff or your knees ache the next morning. Most people dismiss this as just aging, but in reality, it may be the result of lectins passing through a weakened gut barrier. Now, here's the hopeful truth. Lectins are not the enemy. Many foods that contain lectins are also packed with fiber, protein, and beneficial compounds. The key is not to eliminate them completely, but to prepare them in ways that neutralize their effects and to choose alternatives when your body is signaling sensitivity. Traditional cultures have long understood this. Soaking beans overnight, sprouting grains, and slow cooking lentils are not just cooking habits, they are natural ways of reducing lectin content and making foods easier to digest. Pressure cooking beans, for example, destroys nearly all lectins, transforming them into nourishing foods the body can handle more easily. Another helpful protocol is pairing lectin-containing foods with gut-healing foods. Fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, or sauerkraut provide probiotics that strengthen the gut lining. Collagen-rich broths can supply the amino acids needed to repair gut tissue. Even something as simple as eating beans alongside cooked vegetables and healthy fats can buffer their impact and improve tolerance. It's also important to remember that individual response varies. Some seniors tolerate lectins fairly well, while others feel a clear difference when they minimize them. Listening to your body is the ultimate test. A simple experiment is to reduce beans, peanuts, and tomatoes for a couple of weeks and notice how your joints feel. If stiffness decreases, you found valuable insight into what your body needs at this stage of life. Think of it this way, your body is not fighting against you. It is always trying to communicate. When the gut becomes more sensitive with age. That is your body's sex way of saying, I need gentler foods and I need your help preparing them properly. By supporting your gut, you're also protecting your joints, your energy, and even your brain. After all, most of the body's inflammation begins in the gut. Keep that gate strong, and the rest of your system has a much easier time healing. We've covered a lot of ground in this talk, and now it's time to bring the pieces together into a clear, empowering picture. You've seen that after 60, the body still carries incredible healing intelligence. It just needs different support than it did in earlier years. Your digestion slows, your gut lining thins, and your microbiome shifts. These are not signs of weakness, but natural transitions, signals from your body saying, give me gentler foods, give me the raw materials I need, and I will take care of the rest. We explored three categories of vegetables that can become problematic in later years. Nightshades, with their solanine content, can irritate the gut and inflame the joints. High oxalate greens, like spinach or beet greens, can quietly steal minerals and place stress on the kidneys and bones. And lectin-rich foods, from beans to tomatoes, can slip through a thinning gut barrier and spark inflammation that often shows up in the joints first. But just as importantly, we saw that this is not about restriction, it's about replacement with intention. For every vegetable that strains the body, there are others that nourish it deeply. Broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts protect cartilage. Berries and cherries supply antioxidants that soothe inflammation. Seeds like flax and chia deliver omega-3 set that lubricate joints from within. Vitamin C, rich foods help your body knit together new collagen, while oleum vegetables like garlic and onions fuel your internal antioxidant defenses. Even simple hydration through foods like cucumber and celery supports the synovial fluid that keeps joints gliding smoothly. We also discussed the protocols that make all the difference: eating your largest meal at lunch when digestion is strongest, pairing nutrients to unlock their healing power, and cooking foods in ways that reduce irritants. These simple practices take the stress off your body and free up more energy for healing, repair, and movement. So, why does this matter? Because mobility is freedom. When your joints are supple, when stiffness melts away, you're not just avoiding pain, you're reclaiming the ability to walk, to garden, to play with grandchildren, to travel, and to live life on your own terms. Longevity is not only about adding years to your life, but adding life to your years. Now, here's your natural health challenge for the next 7 days: reduce or pause one of the three irritant categories we talked about, whether that's nightshades, high oxalate greens, or lectin rich foods. At the same time, add in one healing food every day, maybe a serving of steamed broccoli, a handful of cherries, or a tablespoon of ground flaxseed. Pay attention to how your body responds. Notice your joints in the morning, your energy in the afternoon, or your sleep at night. Your body will give you feedback, and that feedback is the most powerful guide you can have. Remember, your body is not fighting against you. It is always working for you, always trying to protect and heal you. When you align your food choices with the way your body naturally works, you unlock a level of vitality and resilience that many people assume is lost with age. But it's not lost, it's waiting to be uncovered. If you found this helpful, let us know in the comments. What will you try first? Removing nightshades, adding berries, or maybe simply changing the timing of your meals? Share your experience, because your story might inspire someone else. And don't forget to subscribe and join this journey of natural healing and healthy aging. Your body is ready. You just need to give it what it needs. Now that we've explored which vegetables may irritate the body after 60 and what to eat instead, the next question is, how do we put this into practice every single day? The truth is, food works best not just by what you eat, but by how and when you eat it. After 60, timing, combinations, and preparation make all the difference in whether food becomes healing fuel or a hidden burden on your joints. Let's start with food timing. As we age, digestion naturally slows. That means heavy, late night meals can sit in the stomach and disrupt not only digestion, but also sleep and overnight repair. The body does most of its joint and muscle healing during deep sleep, especially between 10 at night and 2 in the morning. If digestion is still working overtime during those hours, the body cannot devote its full energy to repair. One simple protocol is to eat your largest meal at lunch when digestion is strongest, and enjoy a lighter, easier to digest dinner at least 3 hours before bedtime. The next principle is nutrient pairing. Certain nutrients are absorbed best when eaten together. For example, the fat-soluble vitamins in vegetables like vitamin K in leafy greens or beta-carotene in carrots need healthy fats to be absorbed. Drizzling olive oil over steamed broccoli or adding avocado to a salad dramatically increases the availability of these nutrients. Similarly, pairing vitamin C, rich foods with plant proteins, helps the body form collagen, which is essential for strong cartilage and flexible joints. A bowl of lentil soup with a squeeze of lemon or black beans served with bell peppers is more than just a meal, it's a recipe for joint repair. Cooking methods also play a powerful role. As we discussed earlier, boiling high oxalate greens like spinach reduces their oxalate load, making them gentler on the kidneys and joints. Pressure cooking beans removes lectins, transforming them into easily digestible sources of protein and fiber. Light steaming preserves antioxidants in cruciferous vegetables while softening their goitrogens. Even the simple act of chewing slowly and thoroughly makes digestion smoother, because enzymes in saliva begin breaking down food before it even reaches the stomach. Another overlooked protocol is rhythm. The body thrives on routine. Eating at regular times rather than skipping meals or eating erratically helps regulate blood sugar, reduces inflammation, and supports consistent energy. For seniors, stable blood sugar is particularly important because Fluctuations can worsen fatigue, joint pain, and even mood. Let's bring this together with a practical daily template. Imagine starting your morning with warm water and a slice of lemon to gently wake up digestion. For breakfast, you might have steel-cut oats topped with chia seeds and blueberries, offering fiber, omega-3 SAS, and antioxidants. At lunch, the largest meal of the day, build a plate with steamed broccoli, roasted salmon, and a side of quinoa or lentils with fresh lemon. In the afternoon, snack on a small handful of cherries or walnuts. And at dinner, keep it lighter, perhaps a blended vegetable soup with arugula and garlic, paired with a slice of whole grain bread and a drizzle of olive oil. Finish the evening with calming herbal tea, such as chamomile or ginger, to soothe digestion before sleep. Notice how this rhythm not only avoids the irritants we discussed earlier, but also layers in foods that actively heal the joints. Every bite contributes to lowering inflammation, supporting cartilage, and helping the body do what it was designed to do, repair itself. Finally, remember that your body thrives with consistency. Healing doesn't happen from one perfect meal, but from daily habits repeated over time. The joints you protect today are the freedom of movement you enjoy tomorrow. By now, you've learned that certain vegetables, nightshades, high oxalate greens, and lectin-rich foods can quietly irritate the body after 60. But here's the empowering truth: when you take away foods that inflame, you make space for foods that heal. The goal is never restriction for its own sake. The goal is nourishment, giving your joints the raw materials they need to repair, cushion, and move smoothly. So what should you eat instead? Let's start with cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. These vegetables are naturally low in oxalates, gentle on the gut, and rich in sulforaphane, a compound shown in research to reduce inflammation and protect cartilage. In animal studies, sulforaphane has been found to actually slow down the breakdown of joint cartilage, one of the root drivers of arthritis. Think of these vegetables as natural protectors for your knees and hips. Another powerful category is deeply colored fruits and vegetables, especially berries and cherries. Their rich colors come from anthocyanins, antioxidants that calm inflammation in the bloodstream and joints. Studies show that older adults who eat cherries regularly report less joint pain and improved mobility. Even something as simple as adding a handful of blueberries or blackberries to your breakfast can deliver powerful anti-inflammatory effects. Don't forget about omega-3 rich seeds like flax seeds, chia seeds, and hemp seeds. These tiny foods pack a remarkable punch. Omega-3 fatty acids reduce inflammation, improve blood flow, and support the lubrication of joints. For seniors, this is especially important because the body's natural oil production declines with age. A tablespoon of ground flax seeds stirred into oatmeal or chia seeds soaked overnight in almond milk is an easy way to make joints feel more supple from the inside out. Vitamin C rich foods also play a starring role. Citrus fruits, bell peppers, and strawberries provide the vitamin C your body needs to make collagen, the main protein in joint cartilage. Without enough collagen, joints wear down more quickly, leading to stiffness and discomfort. But with steady vitamin C intake, you give your joints the building blocks they need to renew themselves daily. This is why pairing vitamin C rich foods with plant proteins like beans or lentils that have been pressure cooked can be so powerful. It helps your body knit together collagen that supports both joints and skin. Another overlooked hero is the family of allium vegetables: onions, garlic, and leeks. These foods contain sulfur compounds that help the body produce glutathione, the master antioxidant. Glutathione calms inflammation and protects joint tissues from oxidative stress. Seniors who include alliums regularly often notice better resilience in their joints and even stronger immune function. And we can't forget about hydration. Joints are cushioned by synovial fluid, which is made mostly of water. Foods with high water content like cucumbers, celery, and watermelon help keep this fluid plentiful, allowing joints to glide smoothly. Many seniors experience stiffness not only because of inflammation, but also because they are slightly dehydrated. By combining water-rich foods with mineral-rich vegetables, you support both hydration and joint function. Here sits A simple daily protocol you can try. At lunch, enjoy a salad with arugula, cucumbers, and colorful peppers, topped with a sprinkle of flax seeds. At dinner, steam broccoli or cauliflower and drizzle with olive oil for better nutrient absorption. As a snack, choose a handful of berries or cherries instead of sugary treats. Each of these swaps sends a signal of healing to your body. Over time, the difference becomes clear: less stiffness, more flexibility, and a sense of lightness in how you move. Remember, your body is not waiting for a miracle pill. It is waiting for nourishment. Every meal is an opportunity to tell your body, I am supporting you, I am giving you what you need, and when you do, your joints respond with strength and resilience.